Hey everyone, Not So Slim Jim here, coming to you with a little tabletop review of a gun that I've recently put together, Ks47. Now, as many people probably figured out in the past, and I guess I was late to the party, the Ks47, which is made by Palmetto State Armory, has all of the lower receivers built or stripped that you want to buy. And I originally looked at it and said, hey, that's kind of cool, because I have a Wasser 10. I know, I've believe me, mine is not stock. It's pretty nice. I got it for dirt cheap. I made it decent, and I like it. And I wanted another AK platform rifle, but right now they are just either one, extraordinarily difficult to find, or extremely expensive because of the 2020 gun crisis. So I saw this, and I came across it online. I'm like, hey, it's a pretty cool gun. I do a lot of AR stuff. I have a ton of AR parts. I've been building AR for a couple decades now. I got a bunch of AK mags. Why not something different? Use the existing mags. Like my 5.7 AR. I love it, but I use proprietary mags that cost like $50 a piece. So it's something where I can use mags I already got. It's not going to have the issues with the proprietary 5.7 by 39 mags you got to buy. So I don't got to mess around. So I watched the video from Palmetto State Armory, and they're like, yeah, it works with, all 7.62 39mm uppers. So I got a CBC upper for pretty inexpensive. It was a 7.5-inch upper. It was like $220 or something. Got it all together, went to close it, and, and of course it didn't work. So I was kind of scratching my head going, well, what did I screw up here? So a little bit of research later, I realized, yeah, it turns out, no, they don't actually work with anything other than the Ks47 specific uppers and bolt carrier groups. So I modified the bolt carrier group, and I got it to function, but it was semi-finicky. And I got my mill out. I took the receiver I got from CBC. I started milling it, but it got so paper thin right below the ejection port that it just popped off. And people were saying, yeah, it gets real thin. I mean, I don't know if this one is just thinner than your standard mil spec upper, but it got real thin. So I'm like, okay, I can throw another receiver at it, which I did. I took another spare receiver I had laying around from an old project. I welded some aluminum on the side, and I got it to work. But I'm like, hey, it's ugly. I'm going to spend forever making this thing look halfway decent. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to throw money at the problem because, well, screw it. I mean, that's, if I'm going to do something, let's at least make it cool. So I went looking around, and there was a couple companies that sold part ready available stuff, but most of the companies were out of business until I came across this company called GIBBZ. I want to say GIBBZ ARMS or GIBBZ International. Anyways, so I got this upper that was specifically for the KS series. Okay, and this is a Ks47 upper, and this is a side folding. They have a Gen 2 and a Gen 3. The Gen 2 uses a detent, which has a little spring detent, and you can adjust the pressure with it using just a little screw here that goes in and out. I end up liking mine pretty smooth, so I took the spring, cut off about 1/8 of an inch, put it back in there, Loctited it. But it's a nice upper, and I tried to go with a more AK-ish feel. Me being a left-handed guy, this is nice on this side, and it's a real beefy, really well manufactured. All the machining is absolutely perfect on it. No problems whatsoever. So I dropped a couple $100 on the upper. Then I put the bolt in there, and like I said, I had my factory bolt that I milled, and it was working, but it was, I took a lot of the phosphating off, and it wasn't the absolute greatest. It was actually a leftover from my 50 Beowulf I had built a couple years ago. So I said, well, screw it. Let's see what else I can find. Maybe I can find a used PSA bolt and then get one of the upgraded ejector springs. Well, I came across another company called BRS, and I met the guy named Tim from BRS. And Tim is the greatest sales rep I've ever met. This guy helped me with everything I needed. And their bolt carrier group is a nickel boron coated one, which I don't know if you can see in there, but it is beautiful. It is a great bolt carrier group. The machining's great. Everything works fine on it. It's a little snug on the poly mags, But I know a lot of people complain, but this mag, I don't know if you can tell, but it is snug up in there. So that bolt rides right on top of it. Now this is a one of Magpul P mags, or KS mags, or whatever they call them for these guys. I sanded the top a little bit at first to get it to work, but I went in and reworked the 2 lugs that run on the magazine, just like Palmetto State Armory did for their bolt carrier group. I mean, just a finite amount, then polished them down, and I haven't had any problems. But if you want to build a Ks47, and obviously Palmetto State Armory, I spent a half an hour on hold, said, hey, do you got a lead time? And any of the upper parts, and basically the really rude lady said, no, go F yourself. I don't care. Stop calling. When we get it, we'll maybe let you know. So now if you want to build a complete rifle, let's say you even want to build one of these and you don't want to deal with Palmetto State Armory, you can contact BRS and you can get every component for a KS47, but they call it a BRS 47, lower, upper, bolt, barrel, everything, either built, they have their billet lowers, or they have an 80% lower, if that's your thing, ready to go. They have their own side charging uppers. GIBBZ also sells a complete upper ready to go if you want to get it with their bolt carrier group and everything. That's the proprietary, which I'll show you how that works here in a little bit. But if you already have a lower and you're like, damn, I want to build this, but Palmetto State Armory's never got anything in stock, and people are wanting $600 for their $200 used upper assembly, right here. I mean, it's a little bit more expensive than Palmetto State Armory, but I'm going to show you why this is cool. Okay, so obviously I'm running poly mags. Steel mags working just fine. They have a little bit of rattle. Poly mags, this is a, like I said, one of the P mags, goes in, locks in place. I got mine in Alumahide, so this is a little sticky still. But like I said, it is in there nice and snug. Now you can tell I have a drop-in trigger. That will be for another video with 45-degree safety. There is absolutely zero play between upper and lower. A little bit of that's taken up by the Alumahide, but it is, I don't know if you can tell, but there is absolutely zero gap between that upper and lower, so the fitment is great. Okay, let's go ahead and break this down so you can see. Yeah, I didn't clean out the Alumahide too well after I put it together, because I figured over time it'll get loose. God dang. This is hard to do when I got a tripod right in front of me, so you must excuse. Good. Giggity. Okay, well, I guess I hammered this sucker in last time I put it together. God, I feel like a noob here. All right, so let me show you the uppers. Hopefully this one goes easier. Yeah, see, the front goes fine. Just the rear I'm a pansy on. So, standard Palmetto State. And like I said, drop-in trigger. I have one of the silent buffers in here. I will tell you one thing though. If you're building one of these rifles, one thing I will recommend is running a stronger spring. Either a 308 spring with an H2 buffer, or run a flat wire spring, because to get rounds to go easily over the mags, especially the poly mags, it needs a little extra oomph to push them. But nothing special. I mean, this is a stock one, other than I got SB Tactical. This is not flat dark earth. This is brown. Flat dark earth, brown. Flat dark earth, brown. Get your stuff straight, because it doesn't match. Now I got to paint this. All right, so let's start with the bolt carrier group. Okay, like I said, nickel boron coating. You can tell, really decent machine work on the bottom. Everything fits really well. Now, when you get the GIBBZ ARMS upper, it comes with this special little pin here that allows the charging arm to work. So you just put it in, fits perfectly fine, no issues, a little bit of lube. Talking about the front lugs, I don't know if you can tell, but this lug and this lug I just put a gradual taper in so it glides over the poly mags just a little bit nicer, just like you would with the standard PSA. And as you can tell, it's a really simple system. The arm just sits down here, which all this is removable. It's just 3 little sets, or 1 bolt and 2 set screws that holds all this together, and then everything slides out the side. Charges real well. There is no Ford assist on it. And the back has a little spring-loaded gate that when it's closed, the lower holds it in place so nothing gets in there, kind of like a dust cover. And then it opens so you can release everything out the back. There is a little plastic or like Daron, whatever it's called, piece down in there with a spring that gives you a little bit of a leeway here. I took it apart when I painted it. And for the barrel, one thing I'll recommend anyone who's not using the Palmetto State Armory barrel, I recommend that you do this, well, you can see it here, the single feed lip. Do it with the barrel out. It's a lot easier. Take the standard M4, convert it to 1, put it into the upper, and then go ahead and make sure it's nice and smooth and blend it all together. It makes it a lot easier for feeding of the 7.62 round. Other than that, it's pretty much basic. I mean, it's your 7.5-inch barrel. I have a 7.62 suppressor, so I want to put this little guy on there, a bunch of random tactical junk. To go back together, nothing special. Slides back in the rear like that. This is a snug fit, so if I struggle at it, feel free to laugh in the comments. Just make sure you press this little guy down, press the pin in, and then charging handle. I will say this, if you get one of these, you can't short stroke it. It has to go all the way to the back, then release. Now I have a Magpul Mag with a modified, of course I'm going to be doing this on camera. Get in there. Oh, look at the noob. Look at the noob. Laugh at me. With the modified faller that has the last round bolt hold open, but she runs pretty easy. And I don't have any snap caps, but there's no one downrange, so live ammo, there's no one that direction. My dogs and kids and everything are outside. Weapons on safe. Okay, mag's in there securely. Like I said, you can see how that rides right there. Bring it all the way back, all the way forward. Now I've heard of people complaining about failure to feed issues, but with this one, as long as I bring it all the way back, all the way forward. I've ran through probably about 100 rounds in testing just to make sure everything goes in and out, and it hasn't had any issues. At first, I had a little bit of a problem with the feed lips. Took some sandpaper, took, I don't know, a couple thousands off the top just to make it glide easier until I did that bolt room, and other than that, no problems. So I'm going to be taking this out to the range here next Saturday, and we are going to be seeing how well it works, if it's junk, if it's cool, and overall if that extractor is going to break off. So as usual, questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down in the comment section. Bye-bye.